The vampire squid. First, isn't a vampire. Second, isn't a squid.
The vampire squid is a living fossil that has remained essentially unchanged for millions of years. Today, it is the only surviving member of its own phylogenetic order.
At the bottom of the ocean, there is a creature so powerful that it ended a man's life instantly. Mike deGruy, a renowned adventurer who worked for giants like the BBC and National Geographic, earned numerous awards and demonstrated his extraordinary ability for unveiling the monsters of the deep sea. Unfortunately, one fatal mistake brought him face-to-face with a horrifying creature. Why are experts and mainstream media refusing to cover the bottom of the ocean since that horrific event? Let us reveal what exactly happened to the world-renowned diver that went too far. The Deadly Tomb of Mike deGruy. Mike deGruy was a celebrated American documentary filmmaker and oceanographer, known for his passionate advocacy for marine conservation and his ability to capture enchanting and educative footage of underwater life. Born on December 29, 1951, in Mobile, Alabama, deGruy developed a profound love for the ocean early in his life. He earned a degree in marine biology from North Carolina State University and later a graduate degree in broadcast journalism.
And I went off to college and got a degree in marine zoology and then moved to Hawaii and entered graduate school at the University of Hawaii. And while as a student at Hawaii, I worked at the Waikiki Aquarium,
uniquely positioning him to blend scientific knowledge with storytelling. His work often took him to some of the most remote and inhospitable environments on the planet. deGruy was renowned not only for his deep-sea exploration, but also for his pioneering use of underwater cinematographic techniques. One of his notable encounters, as mentioned, was with the elusive vampire squid. This particular exploration highlighted deGruy's skill in showcasing mysterious marine creatures in a way that was both scientifically insightful and visually spectacular. Mike deGruy's encounter with the vampire squid during one of his deep-sea explorations is a remarkable moment in marine documentary filmmaking. The vampire squid, a creature dwelling in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean, uses bioluminescence to survive in its lightless environment. deGruy captured this phenomenon beautifully, revealing how the squid emits light to navigate and ward off predators, casting an otherworldly glow in the pitch-black water. His ability to transform this scientific observation into a visually engaging story made the scene memorable for viewers. Through his lens, the deep sea, a place far removed from human experience, became accessible and intriguing, sparking curiosity and awe among his audience. Moreover, deGruy's work, particularly this encounter, highlighted the delicate balance between marine life and their environments, emphasizing the importance of preserving these fragile ecosystems. His documentaries often ventured beyond, simple observation, advocating for the conservation of underwater habitats threatened by human activity. By bringing these hidden aspects of the ocean to light, deGruy not only entertained but also educated his audience about the ecological roles and conservation needs of deep-sea creatures. You see, for instance, the brine pool discovered by deGruy deep in the ocean at about 3,300 feet covers an area of roughly 66 feet across. This discovery is important for both its scientific value and its striking appearance. The pool looks like a small lake under the sea, shimmering with what seems to be shores and waves, yet it is far from an ordinary body of water. This dazzling effect is caused by heavy salt deposits on the ocean floor. These salts mix with the water to create a brine that is much denser than the normal seawater above it. Because of this density, the brine forms a separate layer at the bottom, distinctly different from the clearer water above. The clear contrast between the dark, thick brine and the lighter seawater creates a strange and somewhat eerie landscape. Thanks to deG's effective use of film, this unusual underwater scene has been shared with a wide audience, showcasing an intriguing part of the deep ocean. Let's explore a strange underwater challenge next. The salt lake that defies exploration. This underwater salt lake presents unique challenges, not only to wildlife, but also to human explorers. Due to its extreme density, submarines that attempt to enter it are repelled, bouncing off as though the water were solid. Mike deGruy and his exploration team experienced this phenomenon when their submarine was pushed away from entering the lake. Captivated by the unusual behavior of the lake, deGruy speculated about what might lie beneath its surface, suggesting that it could be an entirely different realm, hidden beneath layers of dense saltwater. However, their enthusiasm soon turned to frustration as they face the practical difficulties of exploring such a hostile environment. The technical challenges of diving into a body of water that physically pushes back against entry were daunting. Despite these obstacles, the unique nature of a lake that seems to defy entry kept their interest alive, prompting them to continue their efforts to understand and possibly explore this strange underwater world. Each attempt to explore deeper into this dense salt lake added to their understanding, but also to their respect for the challenges posed by such extreme natural environments. The dense brine not only physically barred their path, but also symbolically represented the barriers to human understanding of the most extreme conditions under which life can exist. This ongoing exploration into the lake's depths served to remind them of the vast unknowns that still exist on our own planet, hidden in places where the environment challenges every technology and strategy at our disposal. Mike deGruy spotted something from a distance, initially indistinguishable. As his team moved closer, this stripe transformed into a donut shape. One might question how much of this is an actual natural phenomenon versus a bit of creative storytelling from someone experienced in crafting compelling visuals. Upon closer examination, the center of this donut was pitch black, and it seemed as if steam was rising from it, an unusual sight given they were deep underwater. This strange occurrence brings to mind theatrical effects, suggesting nature was staging its own spectacle. The surrounding waters splashed as if trying to breach the confines of this odd, circular formation, which deGruy described as resembling a muscle ring encircling a hidden lake. The oddity of these details raises questions about their origin and what natural processes might cause such a scene. The team then tried to explore this unusual feature more closely. Armed with sophisticated underwater equipment, they aimed to penetrate the watery circle. However, their attempts were unsuccessful. The submarine, designed to explore the deepest oceanic crevices, couldn't breach this barrier. It was as if an invisible wall was repelling them. This unexpected resistance adds a level of intrigue to the story, suggesting some unexplained forces beneath the water's surface. The narrative then teases further adventure with Mike, another team member, ready to dive deeper into the lake to uncover what lay below. However, an unforeseen change in their plans halted these efforts. This sudden shift halts the exploration, leaving the details of what lies beneath unexplored and thus intensifying the curiosity around the incident. deGruy labels it as one of the most incredible sights he's ever seen, yet without further exploration, it remains an unverified and incompletely understood phenomenon. This account raises numerous questions about the underwater environment. What natural or possibly unnatural features could create such a spectacle? Is there a scientific explanation for the apparent steam and the impenetrable barrier? Or is it something yet to be understood by oceanographers? The incomplete exploration and halted plans leave much to the imagination, framing the incident as both fascinating and somewhat frustrating due to the lack of closure. Such an experience, intriguing as it is, underscores the ocean's vast, unexplored territories and the potential for undiscovered phenomena lurking beneath its surface. Mike deGruy tragically died in a helicopter crash in Australia while working on a documentary. His death was a significant loss, but his extensive collection of films and research continues to educate and motivate new generations of scientists, filmmakers, and environmental advocates. deGruy's commitment to exploring and sharing the beauty and importance of the ocean greatly influenced the fields of marine science and nature documentaries, offering valuable insights and raising awareness about environmental conservation. Crispin's Reef, a popular diving location known for its vibrant marine life and coral structures. However, a severe oversight occurred during this trip. Tom and Eileen were accidentally left behind by their group in the vast ocean. They were separated from the boat and subsequently disappeared, never to be heard from again. This error led to a massive search effort, but no trace of the couple was ever found. Their disappearance serves as a harsh reminder of the potential dangers of sea exploration and the critical importance of strict safety measures during such excursions. Next, we'll see what happens when exploration gets tough. Fiji Unseen Danger. After a year of volunteer work in Fiji, Tom and Eileen Lonan were on their way home but decided to stop in Queensland, Australia, to dive in its famous coral reef. One late January day, they joined 26 other tourists on a diving boat operated by Outer Edge, with Jeffrey Nawn as the skipper. The group traveled 25 miles off the coast to a popular dive site in the Coral Sea. Wearing their diving equipment, Tom and Eileen dived into the water, expecting a pleasant experience. However, when they surfaced after about 40 minutes, they were alone. There was no sign of their boat or any other vessel in the vast open water. The couple found themselves abandoned by their tour group, a mishap that is not completely rare in diving adventures, but usually doesn't lead to serious harm. In this case, the oversight of leaving them behind was not noticed immediately. The boat crew did not realize that Tom and Eileen were missing until they returned to shore without them. The following day, another dive group found diving weights on the ocean floor, considered an unusual discovery, but merely referred to as a bonus find by one of the crew members. It wasn't until another day had passed that someone on the boat noticed the Lonans' belongings, including passports and wallets, indicating that they had not returned. This triggered a massive search effort. For 3 days, rescue teams from both the air and sea, supported by civilian boats and the Navy, searched for the missing couple. Some of their dive equipment eventually appeared on a beach, spotted by the search teams. Among these items was a dive slate, a tool used to communicate underwater, now serving as a silent reminder of their ordeal. The series of events leading to their abandonment and the initial nonchalant reactions to their disappearance highlight a critical issue in the adventure tourism industry. The thrill and allure of such activities can sometimes lead to a disregard for strict safety measures. This story emphasizes the importance of rigorous safety protocols and the potential consequences of failing to adhere to them, illustrating how a lack of proper oversight and delayed actions can lead to dangerous situations for participants. When 2 divers disappeared beneath the ocean, their parents quickly dismissed the idea that their journal entries suggested something unusual about their fate, insisting these were merely misread. Most people believed the pair either drowned or were eaten by sharks after becoming disoriented from lack of water. Coroner Noel Noonan directly accused the boat captain, Nan, of having a hand in their deaths through negligence. As a court case loomed, Noonan forcefully argued that any jury, given the clear evidence of safety failures under Nan's supervision, would surely convict him. Despite Noonan's strong arguments and the array of errors presented in court, Nan was ultimately found not guilty. However, even though he was legally cleared, the damage to his reputation was irreversible. His business, which once flourished, was unable to survive after he admitted to being careless. This admission, combined with the legal attention and loss of public trust, led to its downfall. The entire episode served as a harsh lesson on the importance of responsibility and vigilance in managing safety at sea. It highlighted how quickly a business could collapse under the weight of public scrutiny and legal challenges, especially when lives are lost under questionable circumstances. The outcome, while legally favorable to Nan, left many questioning whether justice was truly served, especially considering the irreversible loss and grief faced by the families of the divers. The disappearance of Tom and Eileen Lonigan during a diving trip not only ended their lives, but also highlighted serious flaws in safety protocols. Before their unfortunate incident, basic safety checks like counting people before and after a dive were not standard practice. Their tragic end led to the creation of the 2003 film Open Water, which shows how a simple diving trip can turn deadly. Following this event, the government finally decided to enforce stricter safety rules, like making sure everyone is accounted for. These changes, while necessary, were prompted by a tragic loss, raising questions about why such straightforward precautions weren't in place earlier. Similarly, the disappearance of Walter Powell, a well-known British politician, during a balloon flight in 1881, draws attention to the dangers of such activities during that era. Walter, born into a wealthy family and educated at top schools, served as a member of Parliament for Malmesbury, earning respect for his dedication and eloquence. Despite his high status and the perceived glamour of balloon flights among the wealthy of the time, his disappearance shows that these activities were not without significant risks. Now, from sea to sky, the adventure grows. Powell's balloon adventures in Victorian England. The verdant terrains of the United Kingdom provided a backdrop to the intriguing figure of Powell, who was not just a political figure, but also deeply interested in the burgeoning fields of science and technology, with a particular fascination for aeronautics. As the 19th century drew to a close, the pastime of ballooning was gaining popularity, transitioning from mere recreation to a tool for scientific exploration. Powell became an active member of the Aeronautical Society of Great Britain, engaging in many balloon flights and demonstrating his dedication to this nascent technology. Powell was a vocal proponent of utilizing balloons to enhance scientific knowledge and improve long-distance communication. He believed that these high-flying adventures could lead to significant breakthroughs and technological advancements. However, his enthusiasm also mirrored the typical Victorian era's obsession with harnessing technology to master the natural world, often disregarding the inherent risks. On a chilly morning of December 10, 1881, Powell, along with Captain Alfred Templar and Mr. Arthur A.G. Gardner, took off from Bath in a balloon named Saladin, aiming for a brief aerial journey and planning to return within a few hours. Initially, the weather seemed to cooperate, but it soon took a turn, showcasing nature's unpredictability. This sudden change during their voyage served as a vivid reminder of the limits of human control over the elements. Their intended routine flight quickly became a test of their skills and the balloon's capabilities, as the weather presented unforeseen challenges, illustrating that even the most meticulous plans could be upset by sudden environmental shifts. Their experience underscored the era's optimism about scientific progress and human cleverness, while also highlighting the common underestimate of nature's capacity to disrupt even the most advanced technological endeavors. This flight, emblematic of the era's spirit, captured the simultaneous belief in progress and innovation, alongside a frequent neglect of the dangers involved in challenging nature's forces. That day, dreadful weather conditions with strong winds and dense fog made it challenging for the balloon to maintain its course. As the balloon drifted over the Bristol Channel, the situation worsened rapidly. Spectators from the ground watched as the balloon struggled against the severe weather, being pushed further out to sea. In an attempt to regain control, Powell and his crew discarded extra weight to ascend above the fog, but to no avail. The balloon continued to drift away until it vanished from sight, last spotted near the Welsh coast. Miraculously, Captain Templar and Mr. A.G. Gardner survived the harrowing ordeal. They later recounted how the balloon had nearly crashed into the tumultuous sea, flying so low that they could feel the ocean spray, overwhelmed by the formidable natural forces. The situation escalated when Templar and Gardner, without hesitation, leaped from the balloon into the sea, later being rescued by a nearby ship. Powell, however, stayed in the basket. The last sightings of him were as the balloon ascended and disappeared into the clouds. Despite extensive searches by the Royal Navy and private vessels, neither Powell nor the balloon were ever found. The horrible disappearance of Walter Powell led to widespread speculation and numerous theories. Some speculated that the balloon was blown far out to sea, suggesting Powell's demise in the cold Atlantic waters. Others clung to hope that he might have survived his initial disappearance. As time passed, the probability of uncovering the truth dwindled, leaving more unanswered questions. This incident continued to be a topic of public discussion, with each new theory eagerly embraced despite the fading hope of resolving Powell's final moments. Walter Powell, a devoted Parliament member, vanished during a balloon flight, triggering widespread speculation and grief. Although some believe he perished on a deserted island, no definitive evidence has ever surfaced to confirm any particulars of his fate. His disappearance profoundly impacted his family, friends, and colleagues who commemorated his dedication to public service in Parliament. This event not only brought sorrow, but also heightened awareness of the risks associated with early balloon flights. Following his disappearance, there was a significant push for more stringent safety protocols in balloon navigation, reflecting his enduring influence. Over the years, his story has woven into local folklore, with occasional claims of sightings and items purportedly linked to him. These stories, often embellished, illustrate how deeply his disappearance has resonated through the years. Next, we discover what happens when adventurers don't return. The vanishing of the Resolven in C2. The brigantine ship Resolven was found abandoned for reasons that remain unclear. Following this event, there were no further sightings or news of its crew or passengers. The discovery of the Resolven in the water brought to mind the similar, unexplained fate of the well-known ship Mary Celeste. On August 29, 1884, Lieutenant William L. H. Brown, commanding the Royal Navy gunboat HMS Mallard, noticed the Resolven drifting aimlessly. When he approached to investigate, his attempts to communicate with anyone on board received no response. The HMS Mallard's crew boarded the Resolven only to find a ship that was completely intact and showed no signs of immediate trouble, yet it was completely empty. The ship's records showed that everything was normal as of 6 hours prior, with no signs of chaos or disruption. except for a damaged yardarm. Intriguingly, the lifeboat was missing, but there was no indication of why it had been taken or what had happened to it. The scene was strangely normal, candles still burning, and the ship's stove was lit as if the crew had just left. Speculation suggests that the crew, unfamiliar with the icy northern waters, may have abandoned the ship in a panic after minor damage, but no physical evidence of their whereabouts surfaced. Once the Resolven was towed to a nearby harbor, it was repaired, given a new crew, and put back to sea. Nevertheless, the original crew from that August day in 1884 left no trace, and thus the ship earned the nickname the Welsh Mary Celeste. Another perplexing event occurred with the yacht C2, known as the Ghost Yacht, in the realm of recent maritime incidents. In April 2007, this yacht was found drifting off the northeastern coast of Australia near the Great Barrier Reef, completely deserted. The C2, like the Resolven, was in good working order with everything left untouched and no signs of any struggle or distress. The disappearance of its three-man crew added to the growing list of unexplained vanishings at sea. This event has led to numerous speculations and investigations, but like many before it, the disappearance remains unexplained, adding another chapter to the history of baffling incidents at sea. In April 2007, the C2, a 12-meter catamaran, left Airlie Beach in Queensland. The crew consisted of 3 experienced sailors, Derek Baton, 56, and brothers Peter and James Tunstead, aged 69 and 63. Their plan was to sail all the way to Perth in Western Australia, expecting the trip to last a few weeks. They were well prepared, stocking up the yacht with plenty of supplies and equipment needed for their lengthy path. 5 days into their voyage, on April 20th, a helicopter flying over the Great Barrier Reef spotted the C2 floating aimlessly near the outer reef with no one aboard. Alarmed by the sight of the unmanned yacht, the pilot reported it to the Australian Maritime Safety Authority. A rescue team was sent promptly to the yacht to find out what had happened. When the rescue team arrived at the yacht, they entered a scene that puzzled them. The yacht itself was in fine condition. Its engine was still running, a laptop was on, and there was recently prepared food on the table. It looked as if the sailors had just left their meal unfinished. Personal items like wallets and mobile phones were scattered around, untouched. All the emergency gear on the yacht, including the life raft and emergency beacon, was right where it should be, unused. However, not everything was normal. One of the yacht's sails was significantly damaged, a fender was missing, and a fishing line was dangling into the water, suggesting some kind of sudden interruption. Despite extensive searches by air and sea over a huge area, there was no sign of Derek Batten or the Tunstead brothers. There was no evidence of any emergency calls made from the yacht, and there were no signs of any violent incidents. This absence of clear distress signals or signs of harm led to much talk and various guesses among people. One popular guess was that one of the sailors might have fallen into the water while trying to sort out the tangled fishing line, with the others possibly falling in too while trying to help. This idea was supported by the fact that the yacht's small boat was still securely in place, suggesting that the crew didn't plan to leave the yacht in a rush. Another guess was that they might have been hit by unexpected bad weather or a large unexpected wave that might have knocked them off their boat. However, there was no solid proof to support this, making it just another unconfirmed guess. The story of the C2, a yacht found drifting without its crew, might seem clear-cut at first glance. The damaged sail and lost fender suggest the yacht could have faced tough sea conditions. Yet reports from that period confirm there was no bad weather where the yacht was found. The idea that the men might have been attacked by pirates or met with foul play was considered but quickly dismissed due to the absence of any signs of a fight or robbery, and because the area wasn't known for pirate activity. In 2008, after extensive investigations, the Queensland Coroner's Office concluded that the most likely event was quite simple yet tragic. One crew member accidentally fell overboard while trying to untangle a fishing line, and the others lost their lives trying to save him. Since the yacht was on autopilot, it kept moving along its set path, leaving the men stranded far from help in the ocean. Despite these official findings, the disappearance of the C2's crew continues to capture public interest, often being compared to the historic case of the Mary Celeste. This ongoing fascination highlights a grim reality about the sea's unforgiving nature and the haunting idea of vanishing without leaving a trace behind. It serves as a grim reminder of how unpredictable and dangerous the sea can be. Another unsettling tale is that of Joshua Slocum, who disappeared in 1909. Slocum, a seasoned sailor known for being the first person to sail around the world solo, went missing while on a regular trip to the West Indies. He was celebrated not only for his sailing, but also for his writings about his adventures. Interestingly, he never learned to swim, holding the common sailor's view that it wasn't useful unless one was close to land. A possibly fatalistic stance reflecting resignation to the overwhelming force of the sea. Marie Empress's vanishing in 1919 while on the Orduna also adds to the list of unexplained disappearances at sea. Despite being a famous performer, Empress disappeared during her transatlantic path from England to New York after stopping in Halifax. Her disappearance became an internationally discussed issue, filled with speculation and sadness over what might have happened to her. Journalists interviewed available crew members and fellow travelers of Marie Empress. No one was more willing to talk than an elderly, slight stewardess with gray hair, whose stories made it into several newspapers. On the last evening aboard, she served dinner to Empress in her room. She returned at 6:30 p.m. to collect the dishes and was asked to bring sandwiches back at 9:30 p.m. When she did, she discovered that the sandwiches had been left untouched and the bed hadn't been slept in. The following morning, a reporter from William Randolph Hearst International Feature Service was allowed to enter Empress's luxurious cabin by the stewardess. They noted that the door of stateroom 480 opened onto a narrow corridor too small for someone of Empress's size. Furthermore, a tiny 13-inch wide window in the room was locked from the inside, making a quiet exit nearly impossible. Given Empress's noticeable personality, moving through the constantly busy salons without being seen was extremely unlikely. The ship's decks and walkways were brightly lit well into the night, making it even less likely for her to have vanished without a trace. Empress was consistently seen wearing black clothes, including a small hat covered by a large veil throughout the path. Despite her dark attire, other passengers remarked that she seemed very cheerful, full of energy, and excited about meeting her friends in America again. However, the narrative in the media began to change dramatically. Rumors started to circulate, with one newspaper even suggesting that she would soon appear on stage in New York, adorned with seaweed and greeted by an unsuspecting audience eager for new entertainment. Some crew members remembered seeing Empress on the top deck dressed as a sailor, mingling with the crew the night before the ship reached New York. A low-ranking officer suggested she might have disguised herself and hidden somewhere on the ship, hinting that her luggage included men's clothing. Experts in creating media buzz, known as Broadway press agents, quickly supported the idea that her disappearance was just a stunt for attention. The New York Tribune announced that the case of the absent Marie Empress was resolved, proclaiming that she was indeed alive and merely hiding until the perfect moment for a dramatic comeback. Walter J. Kingsley, a prominent figure among Broadway press agents and known for his previous promotional stunts with the escape artist Houdini, was identified by the Tribune as the orchestrator behind the scenes. In the meantime, the New York Daily Mirror mocked the idea of the stunt so convincingly that it became the prevailing belief. However, despite the ridicule and speculative theories promoted by the press and the supposed insiders, not everyone bought into the stories being circulated. What if Marie Empress never planned to disappear, but something more dreadful occurred? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more.